Hello, hello, hello. It's Knits for Sanity. And welcome to my WIP Chat. WIP stands for Work in Progress. So grab whatever it is that you're currently working on or whatever activity it is that you need to be doing right now. And just relax while you listen to me chat. Unless, of course, you're like exercising, in which case relaxing while exercising is obviously kind of an oxymoron. But still, you can at least hopefully find a little entertainment from my chatting. Today, I really wanted to do a WIP Chat, which is why I'm here. Even though I'm not actually feeling the best, sinuses are really bugging me. I have a sinus headache today, and, things are just not completely kosher in my world right now. Last week I had some kind of a little bug, and that's why the Wednesday, or for you Thursday, WIP Chat never happened. I just didn't feel right. By late Friday, I started feeling much better. Saturday, I felt good again. But then starting late yesterday, it's like my sinuses started acting up. So there's just been no winning for me for the last week. As you can see, though, I have moved on to a new project. And if you... Can they hear me? Sorry about that. That was my husband running over here. He's in a meeting right now, and he wanted to make sure, can I still talk? I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. This is a more relaxed WIP Chat. So if you overhear some talking in the background, I mean, to you it'll just be mumblings. Or if you hear my dog snoring, that's just what this WIP Chat is going to be today. It's just it's just a more casual WIP Chat. But yes, I have moved on. If you want to know about the end results with the Harvest Gnome pumpkins, that video was put up recently, and that video is both a post review as well as my sealing experience, my first time sealing a diamond painting. So you may want to check that out, especially if you're curious about that sealing process. And I have now moved on to a haunted house piece from HomeCraftology. That's what I'm currently doing. My tools are pretty much the same. I'm still using all of my Halloween accents from Bella Art de Nicole, and I'm still using the same pen. I am still waiting on hopefully a really nice pen to come in, but it's going to be a few more weeks yet, and that's fine. I mean, what I have purchased, they're all created on order, so I'm perfectly willing to wait. The one difference I made is I did put in the straight pointer as opposed to the curved, kind of the more ergonomical one. Straight, I think, works better for square drills, and the ergonomical or the curved one works great with round, just because it doesn't really matter how you place a round drill down on the canvas versus the square drills you want set, in a certain way on the canvas. So I've gone back to this one. And then the other thing, this washi tape, this is my most favorite washi tape that I own. I love it. Like, I love it so much. I did not want to use it. It's from Simply Gilded, but look at it. It's so awesome. Like, I wish I had like 5 more rolls of this, but this is the only roll that I have. If you happen to have this roll and want to send me one, I would love you forever. You'd be my new best friend. But I felt like I had to use it because I'm working on a haunted house, and this is haunted house washi tape, so it just made sense. So one thing that I am doing, and I have done with other paintings in an effort to help conserve my washi tape, is I actually reuse my washi tape as I move up. So as you can see, cut that piece off, but these 3 strips were down here, and I've already moved those up. What I will do now is I'm going to rip this strip off slowly and carefully. I mean, it's not the most convenient thing to do, but if you have a washi tape that you like really, really love and want to try and keep for as long as possible, this does work. I mean, washi tape is designed to be removable, and so that's what I'm doing with it. All right, so now I have my long piece here that I've ripped off gently and slowly. And then I'm going to move it up. This I'm just going to eyeball my, this way, the other pieces have all been measured out. And this I'm just going to eyeball it and pick a square size that looks good to me. I'm finding I'm not as concerned with having exact dimensions going both ways, just one way. I'd like to have it very well evened out. So these squares then all end up being about the same. All right, and then I replace this other little one, and I leave this piece here so I can see where that last row was. All right, and there you go. My next row is ready to go, and I've reused my washi tape, so I still have this much more left on my roll. And finally, I will cut these two pieces down here. All right. And I'm all set. So how fun is that? The other thing that I love about doing it this way is I found that especially with larger paintings, I tend to do like 1 or 2 rows right away, and then I start working the other way. So in this case, it'd be like vertically up the canvas, and then I kind of do the top, and then I come back down this way, and so I'm left with the middle at the very end. So doing it this way allows me to, so like the next time I lay down my tape, I could lay it down then this way and configure for that direction. It just gives a little bit more flexibility, because over the course of working a painting, I will quite often discover that I want to do it differently than how I may have originally charted it to go. And this allows me to do that without any kind of a problem. This one got laid down a little bit funky here. That's all right. All right. For this one, I did start using the super creepy spider cover minder. My trash drills go in there. For how I feel about this painting, to be honest with you, it's not my favorite at this point. They're acrylic drills, which there's nothing wrong with them being acrylic drills. I don't find them as nice to work with as resin drills. There are advantages to them being acrylic. You know, there's a lot less waste. I don't have drills that are stuck together. But they're not quite as nice to work with. And actually, I did like all kinds of different tests between acrylic and resin drills, and I thought I would recreate doing that for you at some point, just to show you what some of those differences are if you're not familiar, or maybe you are familiar but you've never considered doing me being as nerdy as I am about it and wanting to know some exact details of things. The tray I'm using, actually, though, is, it's an older Diamond Art Club tray. They have trays that look like this currently in their kits, but they're a hard plastic. This is a slightly softer plastic and a little bit more sticky, which for acrylic drills is perfect because acrylic drills are very dry. Resin, there is a little bit of moisture with them. And so having a super sticky, it's not super sticky, but having a slightly sticky tray helps hold these drills in place better. I was finding that my super nice trays from Bella Art just were not, I just could not get the drills to line up nicely in there because the trays themselves are super slick, which is great with resin drills, but it was not working for my acrylic drills. So, I will say too, there is one color already in this canvas that I am very confident I'm going to run out of, which after only having the first row done of a slightly larger, I guess I need more wax, slightly larger size canvas is kind of not a good sign, but we'll see. I might have something else that I'll be able to maybe use in its place somewhere. I don't know. We'll see. I will figure something out. This is my third painting for Jewels and Chills and Festival of Witches, and this one is another one that would qualify for both. HomeCraftology does license their art, and you can't really see them, but there are 3 flying witches at the top of this painting, which is part of what I thought was really cool about it. The one thing that I think I did notice when I did the unboxing of this, but forgot about till I pulled it back out, is there is not actually any black anywhere in this painting. It's all purples and blues. So that was surprising. Like I said, I'm quite certain I had noticed that when I did the unboxing because I looked at all the drills, but I had forgotten that and just assumed that there would be black in here. I mean, it's a haunted house with witches, and there isn't. So I'm anxious to see how that looks as a final product on this one. Unfortunately, I did buy some black 310s, which are square 310s. So some black drills and ABs that I was hoping to be able to use on this right here. See? It's Distracted by Diamonds. I got these from, but it's just not going to work on this canvas because of the fact that it's all purple and blues. So the black isn't going to look right. So nice try at creativity, but it's just not going to work. All right, it is community question time. Like I have mentioned before, at every WIP Chat, I'm going to ask a community question with the hope to try and increase community here a little bit. Part of the reason why I love YouTubing is getting to know people with different backgrounds, but yet we share some similar interests, probably a similar interest in crafting. And so to help with encouraging that, every WIP Chat, I will have a community question. And I would love it so much if you would answer that question in the comments. These are not meant to be personal and invasive questions, just very simple getting to know you questions. And then please also read over what other people comment. Maybe you'll meet a new friend. So today's question is a very classic autumn question. And that is, do you have a favorite, I'm not even going to say autumn drink, but just a favorite cool weather drink. And I'm not going to say cold weather because not everyone lives where it gets cold. And if you do, what is it? Well, I mean, for starters, coffee is always my favorite cold weather drink, period. But if we're looking for something that's more seasonal, something that you would drink primarily just in the fall and winter, that would probably be hot chocolate or hot cocoa. That is what I will drink the most. Sometimes during the fall, I will drink some warm apple cider or even some mulled warm wine during the autumn. Sometimes I'll drink that too. But hot chocolate. I'm a hot chocolate gal. So what is it that you like to drink during the cooler seasons of the year? Do you have a favorite? I would love to know. And if you don't, let me know that too. So, as I mentioned, last week was a little rough because I just was not feeling quite right. And yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of a rough go last week. My son did finish flag football. He had 2 more games. His Tuesday night game, his buddy and favorite teenager came out to watch him play at his very last game. And Havelock thought that was so cool. He absolutely loved it. He saw my friend and this kid's mom first, and he was happy to see her, and he's like, "Oh, hi." And then his buddy said, "Hi, Havelock." Havelock turns his head and he's like, "Oh!" He was so excited. And then when he ran back to his team, because it was like their halftime, which is maybe 5-minute break. So when he ran back to his team after their halftime, I overheard him saying to everyone, "Hey, that's my friend over there." It was so cute. He was so pleased. Their last game was against the gray team again. They messed up with scheduling, which just bothers me because I like, you gave me a schedule and it makes sense. There's 3 other teams. You play each team 3 times, but that's not what happened. They played the gray team 4 times, and I think they only played the blue team 2 times, and then the black team 3 times. And if you don't recall, the gray team is insanely good. Their coach is the head coach of the varsity football team. So they were kind of demolished Tuesday. Thursday was a better game. I don't know if I can't remember who the winner may have been because it rained and it was cold, and that was a miserable game. And I was still not feeling well. So I'm sitting out there in the rain and the cold, and I'm trying to be supportive, but really I just want to be at home. But the boys had fun. Havelock was really pleased. He seemed very happy with his season in flag football. And now it's almost time to move on to wrestling. Wrestling signups for my son and his youth wrestling club begin tomorrow night already. I will probably go. There's 3 nights, and I think next week, Tuesday or Thursday, I can also go and sign him up. And that's probably when I'm going to have to go. I could sign him up now without giving them a check yet to cover his fee. But I prefer to go in and have the money to be able to pay them. We don't right now till Thursday. So, but wrestling's almost here, which Veda, of course, is very keenly aware of. Last week, the high school coach came out with the tentative schedule already and the new singlet design. And Veda, I think she's talked about it pretty much every day since then. So, so she's very, very excited. But other football is not yet done. High school football is still going on. Friday night football, the whole family went. It was a cold night. It was actually, it kind of felt like a real football night, if you will. I mean, we were all bundled up with winter coats and hats and gloves, and it was really very chilly. Upper 30s, I think. Fahrenheit, obviously. But that was kind of a crazy game. So I had mentioned that the school that they were going up against Friday night, I had some concerns because this school would be looking for blood. Because last year, the opposing team, they really thought they had won the game. And then in the very final minutes, we started to turn it around. And in truly the very final seconds of the game, we pulled ahead and we ended up winning. So I knew this team was coming back for blood. And I talked with the boys about it a little bit, and they didn't seem that concerned, because one of the other teams that this team had played, they ended up losing to them, and it was a team that we won by 50 points. So the boys weren't terribly concerned, and I think they should have been. I think, they underestimate just how much that feeling of being cheated out of a win does to you, even though they had experienced that same thing last year with another team where it really did feel like they were cheated out of a win. And then this year, no, they ended up winning against this team for the first time in 19 years. So Friday night, they did lose by 1 point. 1 point. And it was a combination of a lot of things. First, the guys really didn't seem to be completely on top of it Friday night. And then the other team was playing very, very rough. At least 2 guys were permanently knocked out of the game. Including, all right, so what happened is shortly after halftime, Dave and 3 of the 4 kids ended up going home. They were really cold. I mean, it was a great game, but they were really cold and they wanted to leave. Veda actually found some friends there that night, and so she was not by us, and she would not have wanted to leave anyway. And when she did come back and find me, it was toward the start of the 4th quarter already. And she's like, Mom, I really want to go home. My hands hurt. I mentioned she has Raynaud's. Most of the family does. I don't. It's because of my husband. But her hands were really hurting. She had gloves on this week, but her hands still hurt because they were just so cold. I'm like, but Veda, it's such a good game. I don't want to leave. And she's like, I know, but my hands really, really are hurting me. So we came up with a compromise. I said, well, what if we head to the car and we can listen to the game over the radio, because there's Michigan Sports Radio where you can then tune in. Really, it's online, but you can tune in and listen to the game. And she's like, okay, that sounds perfect, because she really wanted to know how the game went too. So we head out to the car, we walk to the car, we get in the car, and I try and start up Michigan Sports Radio. And there's nothing being broadcast. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. I mean, we have obviously pretty bad internet, but I've done this before and there's been something broadcasting. So I was kind of confused. So I said to her, you know what? Let's drive around the school and see if we can check out the scoreboard or kind of get an idea of what's going on. And she says, oh, okay, we can do that. So we drive around. So you can exit out one way and then you take, a main country road south, and then you can head west and there's another entrance. Well, on this south road that runs right in front of the football field, and there was another car parked there kind of watching the game. So I said to Veda, you know what, let's sit right here for just a minute and see if we can see what's going on, because the field was empty. And so we're looking, and yeah, there is a player down on the field, clearly injured. And so much so that they had cleared the field. The guys were all sent back to the locker rooms. it was just a small crowd with like the trainer who is at all the games there. Clearly they were waiting on an ambulance to show up. And Veda and I, we can't see who's down. We don't know what player is down. Well, we'd already had one player permanently kicked out of the game with a pretty bad twisted ankle, who is a wrestler. And of course, just that day, Veda had gotten the tentative wrestling schedule, and wrestling starts in just over a month. And Veda's already like, oh my gosh, we're already down one wrestler. Who is on the field? And of course, she's always worrying about her favorite athlete. And, you know, is it him? Is it him? And the grounds are large enough that it was, you couldn't see much with your naked eye. So I took my phone and I'm sitting there in the car with my phone, and I blow up my, I blow up the lens to as much as I possibly can. And then I'm desperately trying to hold my phone still and wishing so much that I'd had my actual camera, because with my real camera, I easily could have zoomed out that far and probably figured out exactly who was on the field, but I still couldn't quite do it with my camera. And I kept waiting, trying to see a number on the kid that was down. And of course, he's surrounded by everybody, but I couldn't see. And Veda's like, who is it, Mom? Who is it, Mom? Who is it? I'm like, I don't know, sweetheart. I can't tell. I'm trying very hard to see. Finally, the ambulance comes. And the kid gets carried off the field, and he does wave as he leaves the field. And I said, so that's a good sign. He's waving at everybody, but I couldn't see, it was still too far away, even with my lens, with that kind of a distant view on it. I still could not tell who the kid was. Now, I had thought at one point while he was on the ground that I did see a number, but it wasn't like the whole back side of the jersey. So I didn't want to say anything about it yet, because I wasn't sure if that was the whole number or if that was only like half of the number. And then the guys all come running back on the field after the one player has been taken off by ambulance. And I'm looking through and I didn't see Veda's person yet. I start reading off all the numbers I do see, the kids that we know are out there. I didn't see Veda's favorite athlete yet, and I didn't see Havelock's either. So I said, well, let's drive around. Oh, and then our team got a unexpected touchdown, which pulled us ahead. So then it became the only way that the other team could win at this point is they'd have to get a touchdown and a 2-point reversal, which unfortunately they did do with like 20 seconds left in the game. But anyway, I said to Veda, so let's pull around and we will try and find a spot closer and maybe figure out who was knocked out of the game, because we're concerned. Like, we're really concerned. So we do drive around, and the fence running in front of it, there's all these advertisements, so I'm trying to look through all the cracks and stuff, and I did finally see Veda's favorite player. I'm like, oh, I see so-and-so out there. He's out there. He's okay. And Veda's greatly relieved. But then I'm looking and I'm like, Veda, I don't see O, which is my son's favorite and a neighbor of ours, super awesome kid. The kid who showed up Tuesday night to watch my son play. Like, I don't see him. And Veda's like, oh no. And he's the quarterback, so normally he'd be on the field. I'm like, I don't see him, Veda. I think it was him. So we turn the radio back on, and pretty much as soon as we turn the radio on, they do announce that this kid has been taken by ambulance. And Veda and I just both, it was like the most devastating news. Oh no. And we didn't get to see what had happened either, because we were walking to the car when whatever happened, whatever took him down occurred. So we didn't get to even see what had happened. So we had no clue why he was being taken by ambulance. But, I saw him wave. So I'm thinking, okay, so we might have a broken leg or concussion were the two things that really sprang to mind. Learned later that it was a concussion, and actually he seems to be doing very, very well. Hopefully he will be okay. Concussions are obviously super serious. And I think especially, at least hopefully, because of the recent, I don't want to say scandal, but with the Dolphins player who, again, went back on the field too early and then got another concussion, I really hope that we take concussion protocol very, very seriously. It is a huge deal, especially for a 16-year-old kid. I mean, oh, good grief. So anyway, I sent a text to both this kid and his mom, and just thinking of you. And I sent the kid a picture of him and Tavlak from Tuesday night and said, I meant to send this to you days ago and I just forgot, but we're thinking about you. We love you. He actually wrote me back at 1:30 in the morning and just said, thank you so much. That means an awful lot to me. And I should be back out there again real soon. So I felt better then. Like, okay, it sounds like he's going to be okay. And then the next morning, his mom did confirm that it sounds like he is going to be okay. But that was quite the ordeal, let me tell you. And the whole time, too, I'm like, Vita, and you made us leave the game. Just like, I'm sorry, my hands were hurting. Like, I know, it's okay. So that was the Friday night excitement. And like I said, we lost the game, total bummer. So now the boys are not undefeated for the season, which I hope they don't let that get them down too much. They have one more conference game, and then the last week is I guess you could say the fun game. The last game of the regular season it's an out of conference thing, and it's kind of meant to be like a prep for if you go on to districts, that kind of stuff. So hopefully they don't let their loss bother them too much and they can still win this coming Friday. That's what I hope for them. But I know that they're disappointed. So that's all the football updates. Then Saturday we celebrated my oldest's birthday with my husband's father. My daughter has been wanting to go to this place in a city about 40 miles south of us to try out their downtown market, which is a whole bunch of different food vendors and a few other types of vendors like spices and teas and candles too, but primarily a bunch of food vendors. But they have a Thai place that has a whole bunch of different types of boba tea. Well, my oldest is kind of really into the Japanese art and all that kind of stuff, and so she has been really wanting to try boba tea. And her youngest sister got to go to this market this past summer for a friend's birthday, and she was insanely jealous that her younger sister got to have boba tea and go to this Thai place. I understand, obviously Thai is not Japanese food, but the appeal, the reason why Sylvia is so interested in trying the boba tea is really because of her interest in Japanese culture, even though this is a Thai place. So anyway, that's what she really wanted to do, and none of us had been there before. My father-in-law had only been there for, I think he said it was a resident graduation party. He's a pediatrician at a hospital. Hospitalist doctor is what they're called, but he's a pediatrician. So he had never been during regular business hours either. And we're all kind of a family of people that we struggle with doing new things. It's kind of overwhelming for all of us. The only one that doesn't really have any problems is daughter number 3. And she's the one who'd been there before. But we did figure it out. Everybody I think everyone really enjoyed what they got. My daughter really enjoyed her Thai dish. She did get food from the Thai place. She loved her boba tea. It was a really neat experience. It's a fun place. You know, everyone was able to get the food they want. So like a couple of my kids, they got chicken strips and these really good homemade fries. My father-in-law got fish and chips. And then I think my husband, oldest, and me, we all got Thai food. And then daughter number 3 went to this other place. I'm not entirely sure where or what, because I sat by all of our belongings while everyone else went and got food. Someone had to stay at home base, and it was me. But she really enjoyed her dish too. So, I mean, it was a fun experience. When it was done, I think pretty much all of us, except daughter number 3, we were ready to go home. We were tired. You know, that's the kind of thing that's really draining for us. It's a lot taking in all that new stuff. So we headed for home after that, but it was a really fun experience. And I did say too to my father-in-law when we left, you know, so now we all kind of know what we're doing. It should be easier if we want to do this again. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Yesterday was a gorgeous day. It was a little bit warmer, 60, maybe very low 60s. So it was a little bit warmer out. It was cloudy, but there was still sun. Colors are amazing. So we just had a really nice family afternoon. We went outside. We collected the last of our mystery squash, which I talk about that in a WIP Chat from a little while ago, if you want to learn more about what exactly mystery squash is. But I figure that's going to be our legacy one day, will be the mystery squash farm. But just a really nice afternoon. The kids took turns making arrangements using the mystery squash, and I got pictures of that. And if you want to see any of that, you can go over and find me on Instagram, and you can look at pictures of all of that. So yesterday was just a really nice, it was just a good afternoon. This week is parent-teacher conferences. I've talked about before how with having all 3 girls at the middle school, that's a lot of teachers that I'm supposed to go and see. And more, it's not going to happen. You know, last year I got through maybe 4 or 5 teachers total in 2 hours that I was there, because lines are long. And then of course there's always that parent that a teacher like really does need to talk with about their child. And so sometimes that can go for like a 10-minute meeting. It's supposed to be, you know, no more than 5 minutes. So, I mean, I get it. So what I ended up doing last night is I did send an email to all of the teachers at the middle school just saying, hey, look, I know that even with 3 of you sharing my kids and 1 teacher at the high school, I still have 13 of you that I need to try and get through. It's never going to happen. I would really appreciate it if you would let me know if I really do need to come and see you to talk about one of my kids. One problem with this canvas is the 8s and the 3s look almost identical. So that is and the 2 is very similar, but 8 and 3, very, very hard to distinguish between them. But I will just do the best I can. So I've already heard back from 6 out of the 13, giving me a basic update. Your kid's doing great. Don't feel like you need to come and see me. Awesome. So I'm down to 7 teachers that I've not heard from. And the way I figure is I don't think any teacher's probably going to write me and say, yeah, I really need to speak with you. Instead, I think they just won't respond. And so then those are the teachers that I will try and go see. Because I'm just thinking, you know, unless there were like a really, really real concern, in which case I think they would have already contacted me about it. I think you don't want to You don't want to be the teacher that's like, yeah, actually, I really do need you to come in. So I think they'd be more inclined to just not respond versus the teachers that are like, yeah, I really don't need to see you. Your kid is fine. Those are the teachers that are going to write and say that. So far I'm down to 7 teachers that I have to try and see tomorrow night. And then tonight was supposed to be high school open house. But of course, my son has dance. So I will have to try and go to the afternoon open house for that, which is Thursday. Thursday is available open house for all schools. And tomorrow night is my son's, not open house, but parent-teacher conference. Tomorrow night is my son's parent-teacher conference. And of course his, because he's grade school, you have an actual 15 or 20-minute segment that you sign up for. And so it's already arranged. That is your time. And so those tend to run a lot more smoothly. But I mean, I don't have any huge concerns. My kids are, for the most part, they're really good kids. They're good students. There's a couple of different little issues, but really, I have no reason except to be completely and totally proud of my kids. And that's what I expect to be mostly reflected at parent-teacher conferences. Speaking of which, kind of, my older 3 are due back from school very, very shortly. And so I think that's probably a pretty good point for me to stop with this WIP Chat. Oh, I did want to mention, yeah, I'm diamond painting again. I did start that blanket. I had talked about that I have a huge knitting project that I need to get done for a friend / acquaintance of mine using yarn that was her mother's. Her mom died almost 2 years ago, very unexpectedly. And so last year I used some of the yarn and I made scarves for her and her sisters and her 2 daughters. And I think a niece too was in there. And so now this year I'm using the other yarn to make a blanket. I had started it last year and I had to put it down and really reevaluate what it was that I was creating, and decided that it was just no good for a number of reasons. You know, one, I thought that I could add on a knitted border after it was completed, but I don't think that's going to work. This yarn is it's not very pleasant yarn to work with. I mean, it's soft and it's beautiful, but to actually work with it is not, it's not fun. It's very, very splitty. And so trying to add on a knitted border, I think, would be very, very difficult to attempt to do. I think that's a 3 down there. That is a 3. So in the end, after thinking about it and looking at what I had done, I decided, and I was trying to do too much of like a pattern with what I was creating. And in the end, I decided that really this yarn just calls for a very straightforward 1-piece blanket. So that's what I've started doing. It's just going to be a simple garter stitch border, stockinette stitch center, knit all in one. Very boring, laborious knit, but that is what's really truly going to look best with this yarn. And I want her to be happy. You know, I want her to have something that feels like it's her mom giving her a hug when she snuggles up in it. So, you know, I want it to be right. And this is what I need to do to make it the right design, the right item for the yarn. So I have started that, but that's not a very easy thing to try and, because I mean, it's a huge project. So trying to do a WIP Chat with it is just not very possible. So I'm diamond painting again. I do have another idea though that I am working on, and I hope to actually make an announcement about that very, very soon. And I'm excited about it, and I hope that you will be too. So keep your ears open about that, but that is knitting related, but possibly something for you. Anything else that I want to quickly throw in here, I mean, most of you never make it to this point in the WIP Chat anyway, but if you are still here, are there any other last minute announcements that I really wanted to throw in? No, probably nothing that can't wait till the next time I'm back. Yeah, I think we're probably pretty good. Anyway, as always, be kind to everyone around you. You just never know what anyone's going through. I hope that you have a wonderful day, a good week. Please take care of yourself, and I will see you again real soon.